Hello, hello, hello. Last week we missed, folks. Uh, Welcome to Black Veg Fest Breakout. We had a hiccup last week, and that was so folks could get some rest. We clearly don't rest enough when you're organizing, and so I wanted to give some folks some updates on what was going on. And I'm going to start with what's going on our property. We just switching the name often, but it's the Organized Liberation Farming Project, right? And so this project is going to help folks learn how to be more of an active vegan in the form of liberation. But when you come in, we talking especially and particularly to Black folks. We want to arm you in organizing yourself so that you understand about Black liberation as you understand about other cultures' need for liberation and other beings' need for liberation. So, so what I'm talking about, just to bring folks up to speed, is the Organized Liberation Farming Project, and we have 17 acres here on this particular land, and it's run by myself and Nadia and members of Black Veg Fest. And you saw us original members from 2018 Black Veg Fest, and we are Black Veg Fest. It's one Black Veg Fest. That's us. When you see the logo, you already know those are the folks that are going to be unapologetically Black, and we're gonna be honest. We're gonna be truth tellers. So that's where we're coming from. How you doing, Monica? Peace. So I did let folks know a couple weeks ago we had some folks who intruded on our property, and it's not something that we would have anticipated, but it had been happening for a number of weeks. So people would come on the property, and they would ride their snowmobiles. We could hear them. You can hear about half a mile away, driving up. And so, of course, it scares the wildlife, but it also creates a danger to folks that we're going to have on the property in terms of making sure that it's safe for everyone, and especially Black women and girls who've been discussing the need for more safety in their environment and in their community. And so we want to make sure that they're safe. But first, I want to say, hey, Booby, my daughter is on. Ziza, what's up? So we want to make sure that folks are safe. Also, it just being a noise, a nuisance, and it happens just regularly. It'll happen in the daytime, it'll happen in nighttime, after hours, So we try to stop that. And then when we did tell people, of course, that folks are going back and forth. So these white snowmobilers were going back and forth with me, and this is kind of the example of what privilege looks like. Not feeling like they have to leave, the land when a Black man, asked them, to leave. They eventually left after like 20 minutes, but I'm glad that that conversation was captured, online. So fast forward, this past weekend, we had some original Black Panthers, come up and help us in terms of putting, more signs, more signage, because they actually ripped the signs down. So folks who were coming down, were coming through the property, they were ripping, our signs down, that said no trespassing. So we put up some more. There are more posted signs that we said that there's no hunting on the property. There's no driving of snowmobiles on the property. No coming through. Just from one town to the next, through the property. And so people have to really understand that there are not a lot of safe Black spaces, right? When we talk about safe Black spaces, you got to really think about that. And if you're not Black, it's going to be hard as hell for you to think about. So, of course, and I won't struggle with you on that. I'll just put out the facts and the reality. And so we need to really, strengthen our spaces that don't just come from, governmental, right? Because normally, a safe space for a lot of people. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and so a safe space was, go to the that maybe after school program, or you go and you play at PAL, which is called Police Athletic League, and this is thriving during the summer. You would play basketball and do sports and so on and so forth, right? And so, but that's governmental, right? And so, if the government decides to not have resources, for us, and we know they have a lot of ideas about what is, available to us, and what we are, entitled to, so we got to start doing that in terms of, private spaces, as well. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that other folks can't build with us and come to the space, but it is it's a Black space. We want to make sure that Black folks feel comfortable and creating their space, because it's tough for us to create spaces, so that when we even talk about Black space, about farmland, it's almost like, wow, I can't believe wow, that's great that y'all got, but it's like so unimaginable, and so we have to, when we create those spaces, we have to open those up to other folks who don't have that kind of access, other Black folks who don't have that access. So and that's a learned skill set too, that people basically have to not be selfish. Have to learn how to not be as selfish. And so that was kind of the onboarding process of Black VegFest, to teach folks, and you see how we did in 2020, and still been able to, come out and feed people in 2019 and 2018, where it's free. It was free access. Folks who wanted to donate, wanted to give resources, was incredible. But we wanted to create, Black space. Black Veg Fest, we want to create Black space, safe spaces, comfortable spaces even where you can, have, conversation, and discuss things that are, especially specific to Black people. When you're the majority of folks, who you always seen on TV, you won't understand that. You won't recognize that, but other, Black and, other indigenous and people of color, don't see themselves on TV. Just because it's, the last, 2 years, you've seen some more, folks of color, it's still the people who have the power to even make that decision. They're white. People who have the power to even make that decision, whether we talking about the government and talk, in terms of, the court system, whether we talking about who has the finances, all the resources, they happen to be white. You got to call it out first. When I hear white folks don't want to call it out, I already know where you're coming from. You know what I mean? Just not wanting to deal with that is problematic. So we have to end up, we have to call it out. And that takes a lot of, not everybody is built like, me. Everybody is, a trained fighter, not everybody is going to go in, we are hoping for that. People are hoping, to have this kind of nerve and this kind of audacity, to be unapologetically Black. So understand, I want Black folks to understand that I'm not saying that, you need to force yourself. You need to, train yourself, learn yourself, build with other people, and then get to that level where you can call out particular things, because, society is white. And so when we talk about Black space, it becomes that more much more, important and necessary to do. So I was super happy. People came, just this last weekend. We had 4 folks up. Everybody had masks. There were face shields. Of course, we had gloves and everything, and we just kept the protocol, COVID protocols, to be safe, intact. We started probably around 12 o'clock, and we finished sometime after, or by around 7 o'clock. You know, it was just it was incredible. It was great. It was good to have the elders come down. I being a Black Panther cub, myself, the connection to community. When we talk about community, like, this is the connection to community. Community is like, if people, we're not having children come to the property right now, but if when we start talking about children, we start talking about parenting as well. That some people can go ahead and they can handle that. And we start talking about, we're gonna have a long meeting. We start talking about food, like who can be able to handle food. That's community. When we start talking about people doing work, we start talking about who else can help? How do we shoulder this particular work? um, how can somebody, break down, certain, concepts to me? How can I get that, understand that concept and make it translatable to, to somebody else? So this is that community, and everybody in the world has a place to play. Don't misunderstand that. So everybody has, some part, to play in this. And so we tend to move. It looks really quickly, to folks, but I've been organizing for about 2 decades, so it doesn't never gonna look, quick enough, for me, you know, and it's like, because we reteaching every single time, we're reteaching, and we're hoping that the goal would be to have this Black space to farm, and make sure it's vegan, 100% vegan, and that folks are coming and they're training, they're learning. So you're learning health. You're learning, like, what does it mean when we talk about, folks being compassionate, to other beings, and what does that look like? And what are these beings? Are they sentient beings? When we start talking about, feelings, plants, aside from, animals, we know that animals are, sentient beings, whereas plants are, are not. But doesn't mean that we want to necessarily take advantage of plants. So it's a whole conversation that we getting involved, that we want to have here. And so this could be, an incredible space for a lot of folks, to learn. So one of the things we had to put up, about 70 to 80 signs. The property is, about 17 acres. And we were really dealing with, probably, maybe half of that, and making sure that there were signs that were around, because they're going to be children. So we want to make sure the space is, is available and safe to children, Black women, and girls, that they feel, safe within the space. Doesn't mean that we don't want it to be safe for other folks as well, but we talking about prioritizing. We create these. We need to start speaking, in honest talk. When I talk to funders, and I talk to funders, and I speak to them honestly. Creating Black space. If y'all not down with that, then that's cool. I'm not about to change that up, for other folks. I'm aware of why we deal with other companies, and things of that nature. But I wanted, so that was kind of the update, pretty much the update I wanted to give. Right now, if you see, what we just posted, we also trying to get folks in Brooklyn, working with Brooklyn Movement Center, just in terms of promoting this event for folks to get more information about the vaccine, about COVID-19 in general, but also talk about, because some people really are like, scared to be listening to anything of the government, let alone vaccines. So we had that conversation, with folks um, who know better. Some folks, who are in the community, but also work within the medical industry, and so they'll be on hand. So do check on Black Veg Fest, Instagram for that flyer. We'll also be sending that information out to our list, immediately. That's going to be happening on the 15th. That's happening, on the 15th. Do check that information right now if you want to get more information at Instagram, on Black Veg Fest, Instagram. All right. So I wanted to talk about just not just speaking about things, but also just having a skill set to speak about certain things. We see it so often. It happens so much. Before I even get into that, I always forget to bring up, Brother Vegan. So Brother Vegan is available everywhere books are sold. I haven't been able to say that, when I was coming out with my first book, An Introduction to Veganism, Agricultural Globalism, because I had to, put that out myself. And if you know anything about self-publishing, it's work. It's a lot of effort. There's so much effort into doing that. But I'm happy that I put something out. I do need to do a re-edition of that. But very happy with that process in doing it. I almost did not go through with self-publishing because it's work. It's so much work. And so it was research before going through the whole entire process, editing, and then the post work in terms of getting it out and making sure people know about it. That almost never ends. But Brother Vegan feels, it feels great to. I think Lantern, did a wonderful job, in supporting the project. I think the over 2 dozen brothers, who jumped on the piece and contributed, did excellent. I don't want to name any names. It's just so many of folks. I'm bound to forget them. And not remember every single name. But if you look at the book, if you check it out, you will be very amazed. It talks about veganism, and most of the folks who talk, I love it that most of the folks who are talking about veganism and Brother Vegan are coming from an ethical standpoint. But it's not just coming from an ethical standpoint. We also talking about the social justice, which I also feel like that's it's ethical ethics. We're talking about climate change, of course, but we also do it for our own personal reasons, for our health, and just it feels so much better to be doing something that has this multi-pronged approach. And so Brother Vegan, I'm super proud of it. And I'll be speaking on. I already spoken several places. I'm gonna be speaking some more. I am going to be on Karen Hunter's show, which I'm super excited because that's my target audience. Those are people who they're Black and they're not really exposed to veganism as in the same way. Even though veganism is creeping into the mainstream, which is huge. But she also has both 3 million viewers. So looking to get that book out to folks who are interested. So happy and feel supported by a lot of people who coming and supporting me through my Patreon, going to the book and picking up the book, which was great. I no longer can do like crazy amounts of autographing because it's there's a lot of folks. It's definitely a lot more people that who are interested, and so I'm happy for that. So I want to talk about doing the things that we actually like a skill to do. So I get on some of my brothers. If you have a skill set in some area, shouldn't you be mentoring? Like, shouldn't you be mentoring? Like, I'm available to mentor. I know a brother had just reached out to me and waiting to start that process. These apprenticeships, are so necessary, and I'll definitely be reaching back, to folks to help people with different skill sets. But but I recognize that sometimes you have a skill set and you really don't know how to teach it. Like, you don't know where the people are who want your skill set, right? And so I want to help those folks, match up with people who are looking for particular skill sets, and that might just be, educating folks that farming. We're gonna need people, help. We're gonna need help in terms of farming, big time. So we definitely need, farmers, people who help with financing. We could have used people that would have helped in terms of in terms of getting housing, just being able to purchase a home, going through that process. We went through 8 months of that, me and my partner. So we just like, there's so much skills that folks have. Sometimes it's like you might need to just like create and build your audience, right? Um, and sometimes like you got to give that away for free, for some of those items. People don't know your thing exists. If you can sell it. I mean, go sell it. But I'm especially speaking to people who have a particular skill set that the majority of us, in our community would love to have. So one of my examples is giving people nutrition information, and fitness skill set, but also self defense, like training people in those particular areas. And I used to be only charging people like $20 for a whole hour. You know what I mean? I won't do that anymore. In terms of giving helping you with self defense, and then also helping with nutrition as well. That was a steal. But sometimes when you coming in again, you got to give that out. And even you'll watch some companies and corporations will give out like, here, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, bring folks up on your team, help other folks, by giving them, just a little bit of your time. Bring them onto your team as an apprentice, so they're learning and working with you, but they're also helping you to build and reach other folks. You know, a large part of what I did was barter. I'm a big believer in bartering. Folks who have a skill set that I need, and I'm always looking for something else. There's so much in terms of organizing and completing any community objective. And the community objective right now that I'm most focused on is the organized liberation farming, and any way that you can see that scale up, you know um, join in. Whether you looking at as an apprentice, or this is a skill set that you have and like the back of your hand, farming. If you know anything in terms of like whether it be grafting, propagation of certain fruit, we can grow vegetables, other types of herbs. Uh, but I mean, it though, and do make a distinction about what and what you're learning. That's one of the things that we get on online and we start talking about. Like I tell people, I teach you how to fight. Like you will learn how to fight. You understand what I'm saying? Not that I have the skill set, right? But I just have the skill set. No, I can teach you how to fight. Not that, you know what I'm saying? Like teach you how to defend yourself. You understand? So you might have a skill set. Like for instance, like you can make yourself $1 million, right? That's not the same thing as you being able to help other people make $1 million. Y'all gotta watch some of these folks that be online, right? So it's like but if you know you can make yourself $1 million and then also, teach other folks how to get their money up. Come on, that's what folks need because the few folks that you teach might be the folks that become your ambassadors. The few folks that you teach might become your ambassadors in anything that you have. If you are so skilled at what you do, um, then and you everybody knows that you know your own skill set, right? You have faith in your own skill set, and so you can teach whatever whatever it is, whether it be financing, and so you can talk about accounting, how you do your taxes, you talk about credits. Like I can't do that stuff. I be like falling over, figuring it out for myself. That's not something I can go ahead and teach. You understand? That's not something I can go ahead and teach. And so I'm always clear about where my skills, begin and, and end. We have a great conversation, in terms of where to find food. I can't necessarily farm everything. You know what I mean? I can tell you about, a CSA, community sustainable agriculture, or they might also call it community supported agriculture, where you are basically, the food, like for instance, New York is a perfect example where the food is pretty much made up here, upstate. But the folks, who's going to utilize it most, you're going to market it to is folks in New York City, right? But everywhere, but especially New York City where you have the consumers, so you had a relationship, where the food is still local because it's in the same state. You're talking about 2 hours, 3 hours, away. That's nothing, compared to, trying to get food from another country or food from, California and you live in New York. So that's a CSA. But I could also help you in terms of if you're looking for a food buying club. Now, a food buying club, is, or fruits and vegetable, buying club is different. How y'all doing? That's a different situation. So that could be a truck coming in every week or every month and dropping off food. But you go into the organization that connects with the truck that has the food, and they're connected, with the folks that might be upstate or wherever they are. But that food might not necessarily all be local. You understand? So the food buying club might come from everywhere, but a CSA is always going to be local. Understand the differences. Also, when it's local, you have an idea of like what's organic and what's non-GMO. Why? Because it's local. You can find out from the farmers. They can give you that information. That's not going to be a long process. Like when you picking up bananas at the store or you picking up apples or anything, you can't get a quick answer on any of that stuff. You're gonna go through one person to another person, you know. But thanks for coming on. I appreciate you coming on, Sandra. So there's a lot of these different groups, and I mean, of course, and then it's the food cooperative. The food cooperative is that you put time and money into it. So there's different ways on how you can intersect within this food justice, right? So it's different ways. So we're moving towards veganizing, and we're also moving towards doing the farming. So we'll be doing the farming on this property, and it take time to scale up. And we might end up being a part of like food buying clubs, CSAs, and working with food cooperatives, as well. So it's different ways. Is they all different beautiful systems that I've always admired, and I've been a part of them. Some way, somewhere, or sometime or another. Uh, thank you, Checkerfield. That's true. I'm telling the truth. Okay, we have to get resilient before all this food scarcity is coming, and and it will, and that will be mainly because people who own it. It's not scarce because there's a lack of it. You know what I mean? Not a lack of possibility or even a lack of land. It's because like people want to make it scarce. Be clear about that. That folks are, will be trying to make it scarce, and that's one of the tricks of of GMOs, and that's the main culprit, that they would love to like own the seeds, and that's the main thing. People think it's just health. I'm like, yeah, that's an issue. Taking over people's work, taking over people's culture, but it is, you're like, it's literally gonna take food, away from you. Imagine, that's why seed saving is so important. Uh, Monica says, truth. I also have to go to a meeting now. Thank you for this. Thank you for being part of this. Please appreciate it. Right, the billionaires are buying up farmland, and there's something that I saw. This was in the '90s, and '90s or early 20, before 2001. Okay, uh, I saw this. There was a paper where it was talking about. One of the princes for England, right? And then also quoted in there was Bill Gates, and they were actually championing depopulation. And I'm like, when I hear depopulation, you only hear it from people who are rich. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a problem with all these people that's around here. I'm like, what? The people have a problem with you having all the resources, right? Hey, Lady True. Um, People have they're holding the resources. They're worried about the people taking the resource. There's enough to go around. And one of the things that's probably going to come out, right, and that some of the vegans are going to be championing, is that Bill Gates is going to come out and say that he's he's buying up land so that the animal manufacturers, right? I call them manufacturers because they just manufacture animals, but factory farming. So factory farming doesn't buy up more land, right? Because we know Bill Gates is going into, he's going into like creating like plant-based meats, right? So so I don't want people to move quickly. Like, I have my issues in terms of some of the things that he's said. Um, but I want to stick with the facts, because I can follow the facts back. I can trace the information back. So one of the things that's going to end up happening is that, because Bill Gates has been buying into plant based, has been investing in plant based meats that are out there. Uh, that's going to be what he's doing. At least it's going to be said. I can't say one way or the other, that he's buying up land to prevent uh, these factory farmers, or big agriculture, who utilize animals, right, and in the most heinous ways, that he's trying to protect the animals, in purchasing that land. Listen, even if y'all gonna come out there, I'll just stop you right there. Even if that is the case, listen, you can create a trust with the people, in the area, in that particular community. You don't need to own the land. You don't need to own the land. You can get a land to the people. So that would be great. But if Bill Gates was doing that, Let them do that. And that's some of this shit is quick fixes. Let's be honest. When it comes to veganism, when it comes to social justice, some of these particular issues, not everything, are quick fixes. Peace, what's going on, brother Jeremy? How you doing? Lady True, thank you, your partner, for a wonderful panel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm glad. Okay. It's helped your family and you with this journey. Excellent. Excellent, sis. That's part of our goal. That's our, if not our main goal. So we could, Bill Gates can easily, I mean, just hand that land over to people who are local to that land, who are more marginalized, folks who can control that particular land. He could be purchasing particular land and give that back to the Native Americans that are within the U.S. He can do so much in other countries as well. He can go ahead and work with the folks who are on the ground in India. What's happening, in India right now. You're talking about 300 million plus, farmers who are protesting GMO, protesting biotech firms, protesting big agriculture, protesting their own government from taking their land and allowing corporations to just kind of run rampant. Okay, so then the corporations, I covered this in my book. Y'all gotta get my book. Listen, I covered this in 2015, An Introduction to Veganism and Agricultural Globalism. And if you look at just the last half of that book, I am talking about what was happening in India 6 years ago. I'm talking about what is happening in India right now 6 years ago. I talk about what happened in Sri Lanka. I talk about what was about to happen and is happening right now in Nigeria and Ghana, because they signed the agreement, sometime in 2015 or 2016, and how it was Italy. Um, there was Italy, there was Ireland, other European countries, including also Mexico, was signing that they were no longer going to be supporting GMO corn, which was the number one, which was the number two, actually. Soy was the number one GMO crop, in production. I give the 10. We talk about so many of them. I give the 10, top biotech firms. It's not just Monsanto. Okay. Uh, it's so when you see what the problem is, you're gonna really like, wow. When we talk about people owning food, like, they're really going to own food. So the same way we talk about packages, right? We talk about, like, certain commodities and whatever the case may be, this phone, or, whatever. They're doing that with seeds. That was the goal. They do that with seeds. Imagine trying to grow something that is native to your land and you can't even find it. So that's what's happening with cassava. That's going to happen with cassava in Nigeria. It's happening with neem and cotton in India. They're trying to do that with corn in Mexico, so that everything that you find, you got to understand that corn has been around for 7 millennia. And so Mexico had put this is the 2015. Mexico had put a moratorium on any more GMOs, any more GMO corn, but that's because it was native, to Mexico. That's not with everything. That wasn't with every single food crop. Countries are still using soy, an incredible one. Oh, the book. Let me be quiet for a second. Let me show sister. So this is my book here. Get the original, because it's going to go ahead and we're going to make a lot of changes to it, But if you get the original, it's a special piece. is going to be special. An introduction to veganism and agricultural globalism. So I'm a Marley scholar. I'm a hood dude, but I'm a Marley scholar, and what that just means is that librarians, Columbia, NYU, and New York Public Library, came together to create Marley, and folks who would need more support in terms of research. So you have access to like Columbia, NYU, and New York Public Library. All the different aspects and spaces to research there. And so I focused on food justice, right? And so, in just trying to get as much information as possible, I wanted to give people a world view on how debt is created. Debt is created mostly through commodities, right? But food is one of it's the biggest commodity, right? Like soy and corn, will stay on, the stock market, right? Along with like wheat, rye, barley, like all those things, they dominate, finance. And we don't talk about it. We'll use it, we'll come across it, but we don't really talk about it in a global sense, and it's super crucial, now. So, GMOs kind of make it worse. So what happens if you can't find any of the particular, you can't find rye, right? Rye is, any one of the cereal wheats, right? Cereal grains, rye or wheat, unless it's GMO. If you can't find anything that's heirloom and you only can find it in GMO, well, they lock it and they keep it in. Folks don't know that once you have a GMO farm, you constantly need to work with that biotech firm that made it GMO. You got to constantly work with them. So that's how they continue to get money. That's how they make money. So you are talking about a lot of money, a lot of control. So I wanted to get to the heart of it. And just one last thing, the main person that I reached, I've been following her work for so many years, but Cheryl Payer, wrote The Debt Trap, and she talks about globalism and the most beautiful way that you can understand it. If you are a political nerd, like me, and you might still need to read it twice because I am not an economic, nerd. So I had to read it twice to really understand everything in terms of balance of payments and really have the big picture. So I speak to that, as well in the book, but definitely, do get a copy of this. I have this on my website, omawale.org. But if you put it in anywhere, you put my name out there, you'll find it, in some other places. They'll be on Barnes and Noble, anywhere in the internet, pretty much now. But feel free to, order from me as much as you possibly can. You can't order Brother Vegan from me, anymore. This book is going too fast, so it's going too quickly, right now, which is great. And I'm hoping that other folks, do get this book. It just came out. And this book right here is published under Lantern Publishing and Media. This was self-published, by me. Okay. So, Brother Vegan, you can just pop that in Google and they're gonna give you all the details in there. But this book is incredible. It's incredible. Not just because my name is on it. Uh, Thank you, Lady True. Let me see. I think I might miss some comments. Jeremy says, hard to change blacks' minds about being vegan. That's my struggle. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. But it is a challenge, like anything else. Like we're the main demographic that is going vegan. I remember, first the first sign I knew well, black folks are going to go vegan incredibly quick. People were they were registering for Black VegFest like you would not believe. I was like, whoa, we about to kill him. So I knew we were coming out in August, right? And second week of August in 2018. I knew by March 2018 that we were going to. I mean, the numbers were ridiculous. And then one of the things is you got to understand that I had spoken at so many different veg fests around the world. I, India, Sweden, invited Switzerland, just all over the place, right? UK is, as well. There's never black folks, that are 50% or 25%. You really got to go to like, Black Veg Fest or Vegan Soul Fest, right? Not a lot of kind of like black or black centered, festivals. But more the main thing I recognized was that in these different festivals, I didn't see really black vendors as much. I didn't really see black vendors at a lot of festivals going all over to different festivals. Black Veg Fest, the first folks to sign up, they were black. You know what I mean? Like straight up, like so many black folks just like, yo, I'm in. So, but when we use the term black, and we was the first time that we use, that folks were even in veganism using black. We know folks don't use black, institutionally, in terms of organizationally, we don't use black because when we talk about, you can say African, but that's also cultural, right? You can say more, and that's also cultural or religious, right? But when you say black, you talking cultural, but you also talking about this radicalization, this dealing with the term. You're also talking about, this that the people in such a way where it's like, and you can see it from another perspective. As soon as white folks saw Black Veg Fest, man, they was upset about it. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of folks, what I'm saying, was bothered by it, and they just had to like. It took time for people to kind of digest it. Some people still, probably don't digest it, and it was like weird. Now, understand that I had been at these different festivals and spoken at them for years, right? And so it was weird when we did Black Veg Fest and we started promoting it. Like Live Kindly was dope. They posted it. Mercy for Animals posted our stuff. Veg News, posted our stuff. So we was very grateful for that. Veg Fest UK, and so these are all white entities, right? So they have posted them, right? White folks were saying on there that we were decentering the animals, right? So we're saying that we were decentering. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. It's like it's about the animals. I'm like, okay, wait a second. So when we go to festivals, all the festivals I've been to, folks be focused on the food, right? Who's speaking there, the celebrity of them. So I'm like, y'all don't even know how racist y'all sounding right now. I'm like, y'all crazy, right. It was just, it all had to, I'm like, you just say you racist. You know what I mean? Like, at least take time and like some people were asking the right questions. They were asking like why Black Veg Fest, and Mercy for Animals gave me the opportunity, to kind of speak like why would I, deem this, or call it Black Veg Fest? We went into it, because I did want black folks to understand what they were coming into too. You know what I mean? Like it was some radical shit. Like you know what I mean? That's if I'm working with it, you already know it's radical. You ain't got to check it. You know what I mean? It's gonna be radical. It's gonna be unapologetically black. Um, you know, I know I love to work with different partners. I love to work with different partners. I like to people and let people know exactly like where am I coming from. Like, what do you mean? I have no problem with explaining. When I'm talking about white privilege and why I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, why certain black spaces are just black spaces, and or why Black VegFest is centered, on blackness. Like, I love to explain that shit. With that being said, I totally understand that black folks don't want to be explaining nothing to y'all. They ain't got time to be explaining. You're doing that your entire life. But me, I love to do it. You know what I mean? Because when I do it, you ain't never gonna come back in here and say you ain't hear me say that shit correctly and clearly for you. You ain't never able to say that. You know what I'm like? Oh, my wallet was clear. So I want folks to, to get that, but also because information, it changes through time. Everything evolves. I'm not doing it like the 60s. I'm not even doing it like the 70s and 80s. I'm doing it like what's necessary for right now. What's necessary for right now. So I just want to be real clear about that. I want to be real clear about that. People are gonna be telling you the shit's racist. I'm not even gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you nothing. I'm just gonna tell you the truth and the facts. I'm not gonna necessarily try to defend it. I'm not. There's no defense for being black. There's no defense needed for being unapologetically black. Don't defend that. I don't like when folks defend. Do not defend it. So when I'm explaining to folks why Black VegFest, that is not the same thing of saying like why we should be able to come and do it. You know what I mean? So totally different. And I would love to answer the question, but I'm gonna read some of this. Rudy Vegan Cuisine. I'm experiencing this right now. I'm hosting San Antonio's first black-owned vegan market, and there are some that are big mad. Of course, listen, I'm telling you, one of the beauties are y'all can go ahead and y'all can share a lot of the stuff I already put online. A lot of the stuff, if you go online and you talking you unapologetically black, vegan, put that in there, common vegan, I'm gonna pop up on there. You're gonna see certain interviews. You can send them links. You get my book. I really go in there and I really go in it. And I know because what's tough for a lot of our community is like we don't know how white folks gonna respond, right? We be like, I don't know how white folks will respond because white folks be all in your life. You know what I mean? They be in your life for your bank, at your job. You know what I'm saying? You trying to get a loan, man, just everything. You trying to get a house. Man, they all in your life. You trying to bond with, other people who are like you, who know your experience. They like, nah, don't do it that way. Let me tell you something. First off, I don't deal with that. I just like I refuse to, you know what I mean, to work with anybody. And because I'm like, I'm not gonna focus on nobody money. I turn down Coca-Cola. You know what I'm saying? Like, for Black VegFest. I done turned down, a lot of shit, but I ain't gonna get too much in I'll turn shit down. So but I like to be clear with folks up front. You know what I mean? And I'll recognize that, some white folks want to fit in, what you're doing. And so I tell them like this, you know what I'm saying? You could fit in if you listening to me 100%. You know what I mean? You could work with me. If you doing what I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? And you making sure you supporting, you know what I'm saying, black folks, not where you get a pat on the back, not where you get some props, not because, you know what I'm saying, this and that. If you do it just because it's the right thing to do, you know what I'm saying, then it's nothing. And then that's how y'all gotta approach that situation every single time. That's how I approach my book. If I couldn't run how my book was gonna run, then I don't want nobody to put my name on it. Period. You know what I mean? But I understand that everybody can't do, but I didn't work my way up to this way. I ain't had no money. You know what I'm saying? I physically had to, be unapologetically black in all my spaces, and just be like that and just keep it, where it's transparent. and just be and just be transparent because I want to get that to black folks so bad. You know what I mean? That shucking and driving I be seeing from millionaires, I can't believe it. You know what I mean? Like what? You got more money than me, but you so much of a sucker? No, I, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Even some of these foundations. As soon as you like, you can make spaces that are so super supportive for black people. That's what we're doing. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But if you was to do, if you make supportive spaces for women, you know what I'm saying, and where mostly white women occupy those spaces, they'll be like, oh, they don't even second guess it. They won't second guess it. We know it. Y'all know it. You know what I'm saying? But it's control. It's these folks trying. It's these folks. It's not like these folks losing control. They don't want to lose control. They don't want to. They don't want to lose that close proximity, to you as well. They don't want to. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to lose that. And it's just like you're not progressive if you worried about that. You know, you're not progressive. I was just like you're not progressive. You know, that's why you know what I mean. I mean, listen, I'll go on and on. I know y'all said some, you know, points. Um, Hi, and you put the names of the books in your post. Okay. Oh, can I? Um, we'll definitely do that. And so I use Lula TV, and Lula TV, it's quirky, but it allows me to get out to Instagram, YouTube, and also Twitter at the same time. You know, all simultaneously, but it drops sometimes. But in any case, so I can't necessarily like write things down, so easy, but I wish I could. But I will say that it's an introduction to veganism and agricultural globalism. You could tell I self-published this because look, you know what I mean? It's like, what was I doing? Um, and so this came out in 2015. So if you see me quoting what's happening with GMO globally, in this piece and how it relates to India and China, I go throughout the whole world. Australia, as well. The U.S. and the U.S. is among the most uneducated about GMO, right? Imagine how much like something about GMOs, but we are still seen as the most uneducated when it comes to genetically modified organisms. That's so interesting, you know. Um, I'm flexed. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees, but no fish. Water. I don't know. you know. Got a brand new bag says it's control the narrative. I definitely remember y'all at Black VegFest. That was the vendor from 2018, I believe, the first one. Lady True said, "Thank you for choosing to be a teacher." Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I like doing this. I had to ask myself, like, why am I giving off information or why am I doing this? And I realized, like other people, when you find information, you be wanting to give it out, so quickly. And I guess the people who, like charge for it. Probably, and I believe that folks have a good reason. You always have a good reason to charge for it. I try not to charge for every single thing, um, for information and and things that are necessary, because I mean that's me. But with that being said, I got a Patreon, and so since I just give out that information, and I just have people just come and support the things that and build things that are free, I tell people to just support my Patreon. Actually, I could type over here. I'm gonna put both books here. Um, Thank you, sis, for bringing that up. And then I'm going to also put my Patreon as well. And because I think what's so necessary is people supporting the people who just automatically going to support. Like when so this is one book. Let me make sure I spelled it correctly. Okay, so this is my self-published one. It said it went in. Okay, there we go. So it goes to Black Veg, it goes to Instagram, and it goes to Twitter. I wonder if it goes to YouTube. I don't know if I said this also goes to YouTube, but it also goes to YouTube. So, and then of course Brother Vegan, which just came out. That I think you could find, pretty easy. Um, my Patreon, I mean, you can support my Patreon as low as like $5. You know, that is super helpful. To just continue to do that and not, be so focused on like, well, I gotta go charge these folks, or I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I'd rather just give out the information, freely. If it was up to me, I would give out the book free, but the publisher would be like, that's not sustainable. What are you doing? That's not sustainable. And my lady always tells me too. You know what I mean? It's like that's not sustainable. Like you gotta literally, you gotta, But I think that information is that is what we need. That's what we crave more than anything. That's what we crave, and more than anything. And I realized that by looking in a book just recently, I was like, let me, and I was like, wait, all this ton of information in here that we need, so that we need immediately. Like right now, we're gonna go do farming, and like a gentleman told me once that you could just put seed in the ground and it grow, but the reality is that's not the case for a lot of plants. You can't just put everything into the ground, anything in the ground, and then all of a sudden you got to grow. And y'all know, you already know, right? You talking about depth. You talking about how often to water. The environment. We're building a greenhouse, and y'all gonna be able to come up and check it out in due time. Black Veg Fest here. Y'all gonna be listen. The same way we captivated folks 2018, 2019, and even 2020, dealing with COVID-19 in the safest way possible. We're gonna come back this year. We're gonna do something for for folks. I know a lot of people want us to bring it back to being on the street. COVID, COVID. But so we're gonna do something where we're gonna give it out to folks like we did 2020, and just be mindful. Make sure you check, particularly our Instagram. If you follow our Instagram and you make sure that you see everything, click that button where you make sure you see every single post, because what we did in 2020 and we only had about 200 people show up, we gave the location the day before. We initially were going to do it 2 days before, right? But we gave the location the day before to break down the numbers. We had it at an undisclosed location. I can tell you now, it was at Lincoln Terrace Park. Um, but we're gonna have it again. I'm not sure if we'll do upstate, but we'll definitely do Brooklyn. The upstate might be for folks that we know, folks that we've worked with, and people who are staying close, to people that I know personally, that are excellent folks, and in the movement, people who want to grow. We want to bring people, upstate to just come and just chill on the property. But for Brooklyn, we're definitely going to do something for Brooklyn, but it's not going to be the same way like have y'all seen before. Just because we don't want people going crazy, we don't want people to get COVID. When we do it, we talking about masks, we talking about face shields, we talking about hand sanitizer. We had Dr. Browners was such a huge support. And giving us hand sanitizer, also some Castile soap that we can give to people for free. We gave out to people for free. We also did the People's Harvest that was on November 26th. Which some of y'all call call Thanksgiving. So we were giving out food as well. And both times we gave out food from Follow Your Heart, Beyond Meat, was helpful. Some other folks, Tofurkey, so we maintaining great relationships. We're building. We always building every single. So Black Veg Fest is so much more than just It first off, it's not just me. I think y'all know that by now, right? I just a person you might see on here talking. I was talking, and right. I'm behind the scenes, front of the scenes, but there's so many people that's behind the scenes. Black Veg Fest, and so we of course, want to see, folks come up. Uh, what's up, Yaz? What's going, Yasmin? You know, you bought a house? Yeah, we bought a house, upstate. If you bought one as well, definitely connect. Anybody who's upstate, in New York, connect with us if you're more local. But even connect with us if you're not in New York. You know, so many things that we got happening. And we want y'all to be a part of it. You know, so Yasmin, you came at the tail end. So anybody has any questions, been on here yapping for like an hour. My lips dry, need some more water. But y'all should see, I mean, it's sunny today. It's still snow on the ground, but it's sunny today. It's beautiful. I mean, listen, everybody that come up here be like, yo, it's beautiful up here. It's incredible. I'll tell you that a deputy came by, yesterday looking for, it's like said he was looking for the previous owner. So I was gonna make sure y'all know, you know what I mean, just in case they started looking, you know what I mean, being nosy, But I'm like, what you coming over here for? You know what I mean? What you want? Shit, I'll stay right on the balcony. I was on the balcony, like, what's good? Hello, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So for real. But yeah, that's how we rolling. Uh, so hurry up. Let me know what's good. Oh, y'all didn't get the link. Let me also put the link in there real quick. Let me put this link in there for y'all. Y'all got to get this in case y'all looking to come up. Don't go anywhere yet. All right, so I'm gonna put this link in there in case y'all looking to come up. Uh, we're doing some volunteer work. Word, right? They trying to be nosy. I'm telling you, I know they were trying to be nosy. That's the link right there, y'all. They trying to be nosy and shit. I'm like, yeah, all right, homie. Mm. You ain't trying to get information about me and shit. Like, listen, I'm way ahead of you. I studied the cops now. I studied the law enforcement in New York. That's the largest, you know what I'm saying, police. That would be an army. You know what I mean? If it, that would be a freaking army, yo. Um, so I already know. I already know. I'm like, you ain't about to show me nothing that's new. You ain't about to show me nothing that's new. You just came here to check on who the new folks. He was like, yo, he look hood too. He black and he look hood. You know, for real. But listen, they're already gonna find your name. So I gave them my name. I mean, they're gonna get them like, give you my name. I have no problem. I ain't hiding nothing. You know, there's nothing. But as far as anything else, I mean, they even found a number, but we was like, nah, I ain't giving you the number. Because you right now you fishing. You trying to find out about the last owners. Why you looking for my information? Yo, they be stupid too. Yo, I'm like, why you trying to get all my information if you not like? It's just wild, shit. I'm gonna have to support somebody, for sheriff. I'm gonna have to support some, some black or brown person, for sheriff up here. Change, change some things for real, you know. All right, y'all. Thank you. My name is Omawale Adewale. This has been Black Veg Fest Breakout. I'll see y'all soon. Much respect, much love. Uh, Hit me up sometime.